Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday, and you are happily tuned in to the I'm Making It Happen radio show with the exception of yours, Nykole Tyson. And we are here on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And on I'm Making It Happen, we discuss how we can make it happen in our minds, bodies, finances, business, and culture, despite the inevitable and not so pleasant challenges. And that's to ultimately allow us to realize that we have the ability to improve and maneuver every and any situation that we encounter. And we have to be reminded about that every single day, right? Because every day is something that happens unexpectedly. But not, no, but, and you have me today, yours truly, one and only Nykole Tyson. And I'm going to be giving out updates about certain things and make an announcement. But before we get into the details, definitely want to say good morning to everyone in the USVI, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, the British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, and anywhere you are in the Caribbean. Thanks so much for tuning in, as well as all those listening live from East to West Coast on reefbroadcasting.com, and for those watching live on Facebook. Good morning. Please do like and share. And so I definitely want to, Facebook at I'm Making It Happen. So one of the updates or I want to give to you, if you wasn't aware, and I think it's very important, is the Department of Health's Health and Wellness Fair. It kicks off June 2nd through the 6th on St. Croix, and June 9th through the 13th on St. Thomas and St. John. They're going to be having free screenings, vaccinations, mental health, wellness activities, and more. No appointment is needed, and it's going to be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. there. Yes, and so they're different dates. So like June 2nd to the 6th is on St. Croix, and June 9th to the 13th is on St. Thomas and St. John. and what I found interesting, because I spoke with somebody this morning when I was at a bakery, and I was asking about, people knowing about it, and I was like, well, I saw it on Facebook. So basically, it's important. I think it's really a great initiative held by the Department of Health, and it's free. And what I heard, which intrigued me, is that they're going to even have like women's health screenings, like pap smears, so cervical screenings and breast screenings. For men, they're going to have even a digital rectal exam, which is amazing. And then they're also going to have pediatric physicals, adult and children vaccinations. The other health screenings include high blood pressure screening, glucose, cholesterol, and more. So it's going to be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on, again, June 2nd through the 6th. That's happening on St. Croix. So every day. So for those 4 days, June 2nd through the 6th, you can go to the St. Croix Educational Complex. And hopefully we will get some ads so you guys can hear this more and get these dates. So if you don't remember it, we should hope to hear something more repetitive, okay, on the station. And so June 2nd to the 6th, Educational Complex, and that's going to be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and it's free. And then June 9th through the 12th is going to be at the Eudora Can High School. That's again June 9th through the 12th. And then on St. John, June 13th, the Castro Clinic, and that's 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Very important. Health is important. Health is wealth. Those with a lot of money and they don't have the health, they wish they don't have the health. They don't care about the wealth. They're spending all the money trying to get it, right? So make sure that you're proactive, get your screenings and the like. Okay, and so moving forward, I just wanted to also mention some acknowledgments in regards to things that I'm seeing on the island, which I'm very happy about. And so the highway, very happy about the highway expansion right after the Home Depot, and it's now complete and it looks great. So no longer are we delayed by the 2 lanes. We're waiting for those who's going to turn at Lorraine or the container port. So that intersection now, both east and west, is expanded. As anyone has been on the highway, you'll see that. And so it's great not having to wait behind those that had to turn, right? And so kudos to the Department of Public Works and those contractors that was working on that project. And then we also have many signs around the island on St. Croix. I'm sure the same thing is happening on St. Thomas. And so there's signs. I'm sure if you're being paying attention at some areas, you'll see the signs that's naming the streets. So now you know how we usually do. We're saying, hey, if you're given directions, we don't name streets. It's like, yeah, past Lorraine, past the stoplight, past the school, and da 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 da. Right? See a purple house, turn left, make a right. You see a big tree. We don't know usually don't know the names on the streets as we would in the states, but um, there are naming of the streets for certain areas now, and that's really exciting to see. I don't know if anyone else has been surprised by some of the names of the streets when I'm passing and I'm seeing these signs. I'm like, oh wow, that's what the name of the street is. Okay, cool. So that's very exciting to see, and so I'm happy that we have that now being implemented throughout the island, or yeah, executed throughout the island. Okay, so those are the two things that I was happy to see this week. Well, I've been seeing the signs, but I kept forgetting to mention it. But this week, I just my first time seeing like the lane. I don't know when that really opened up, if it was this week or last week, but I was just noticing it this week. Um, and so one more thing. Okay, and so one of the things I do want to ask of the community is that just this morning, I saw a lot of water bottles in front of the Seventh day Adventist Church right after Oriental Bank on the way to Strawberry. I'm not sure if that was there. I don't think it was there yesterday when I passed. I don't recall seeing that. I'm not even remembering if I passed this way coming east and west yesterday, but I saw it this morning, and I know that the Seventh day Adventists usually church make sure to keep that area clean. And so I'm thinking something happened yesterday and they didn't see it. But anybody that's going in that area, you have a truck, please go and just pick up those water bottles. There's a bunch of water bottles. I'm not sure if somebody was driving and water bottles fell out their truck and they just didn't stop to pick them up. That's really sad that happened, because if you're aware that you're littering, especially of that so much of litter of these items, then it's your responsibility to go and pick it up. But they didn't, and so we're a community, and definitely I know that um, we don't want to have that staying there. So anyone in that area, would be great to have them picked up, because that just is a bad look for our island. I did see someone picking up some items that flew out their vehicle last week. There was a lady. Where was I? I think it was actually on the highway, and I was really like, Miss, you gotta get out the street, And she was, I think something might have flown out, and she was making sure to pick them up. But I was very happy to see that, and then also you got to be careful, right? But definitely, she was taking accountability of whatever flew out the car, and we appreciate those that do that. So what is there? So what are we going to talk about? So those are the things I wanted to mention. The acknowledgement of or update for the Department of Health's health fair coming up next week. That's all free, and then on each island, and then of course acknowledging the expansion of the highway. We need to have seen more of that. I'm happy that that's happening. Actually, if you, for those in that area, whoever is listening for that department, please put down the reflectors. They still work. They would be great to still have the reflectors on the highway. I see they did stripe it. I believe that area is striped. More areas need to be striped, but I'm happy to see that area was striped. But I also say that even if it's not striped, you can put those reflectors down. It really helps, and it lights up the highway too, makes it look good, and it's also lights up the highway. I still would say to implement those if possible on the where the stripes are. All right, and then also I mentioned what else? The signs. So great to see that we have streets with signs. I'm looking forward to seeing more and what the names are. Okay, some of the areas I was like, I didn't even know we had naming of certain areas. So, but there are names, and the signs are going up. And then the requests for the area Seventh Day Adventist Church in front of the Seventh Day Adventist outside the gate. On the main road, someone dropped a lot of water bottles. So if you're passing Oriental Bank going east or west, no, before you go, if you're coming east, it's right before you pass Oriental Bank, right? And then if you're going west, it's right after Oriental Bank. Pick up those water bottles. That'd be great. All right. And so another announcement I want to make is that, let's do this, let's see. Of course, supporting our children. Now, I don't really ever I talk about everything else about, making it happen, how to make it happen, why it's important to make it happen, the ways we can continue to make it happen, what stops us from making it happen at times. Of course, I always include, different interviews with officials or people in the private sector, talk about different things. But today I'm going to talk about things that I'm working on. Okay, for making it happen. And so I haven't mentioned this, but I've had a nonprofit for a couple of years, and now we're going to be having an event. And so I want to engage the community, and there will be some ads coming out soon of a benefit we're going to be holding, and I'll talk more about that. But the nonprofit is called Make It Happen Foundation. It is officially a 501c3, and we are, the mission is for the youth, as I talk about things all the time. I've been doing things with the youth for some time since I ever came back, working for Positive, um, mentoring children, and assisting parents, those that are interested, with various aspects. And I've gone to the schools, looking at many schools, and then not. That's just something, a personal interest of mine. I like to see I'd like to give back in regards to what I've learned to help the development of children, because not a lot of times you get it from home, and that's understood. If your parents, as you are a parent, you're always growing. You may not know certain things to express or relate, but definitely I like to share my experiences and assist in, like, self-esteem, self-development, and the like. So the name of the foundation is called Make It Happen Foundation, and we're going to be having a golf benefit um, August 23rd and the 24th. And it's even if you don't play golf, you can still participate. I'll be providing more information soon of the website, and where you can, contribute and or register for the event. It's going to be held at Carambola, and we're going to have a cocktail August 23rd, and then the golf benefit will happen the 24th. It is being hosted by Cost You Less, and also sponsored by the West Indian Company, Bellows International, and I will give the rest of the sponsors, Captain Morgan, and there is one more sponsor that I will provide in a second. And we are looking for more sponsors and those, volunteers, and actually you could go to makeithappenfoundation.org, makeithappenfoundation.org, and you will find that we, send me a message, and or even on my Facebook, and I would love to get your involvement. For those always mentioning about children, this benefit is going to go to the money is going to go towards students higher learning. And so it's not just college, but also trade. And so I had a caller a couple of weeks ago talking about something with the trades. I can't remember specifically, but if you are listening, I would love to have a conversation with you about this and your involvement. And so we're going to be helping or supporting those children, students in college and or a trade, not, be it here locally or abroad. And it's going to help with tuition assistance, or other miscellaneous expenses like books, and of course the cost for the courses, or whatever it may be. Maybe you have to pay rent and you're behind. Some people don't do the on campus. So we're just going to look at, I'm going to go into more detail another time, but looking at how we could assist those students. And how this came about is that I used to mentor a student or a child when I worked for Positive Nelson, and they're now an adult. Can you believe it? And so that just shows how time is flying. And so they called me. This person called me. They're now going to college in St. Thomas, and they were having some issues with tuition, and it was a large sum, large sum. The issue that they were experiencing, because I thought, okay, well, maybe it's a couple hundred. No, it was thousands of dollars. The issue, what happened is that their GPA was really low, and so that's what I'm giving you, a back story of how this benefit came about, the idea for the benefit. And so this conversation I had with a student, I think it was more so in the beginning of the year, And they called me, told me the issues that were having or experiencing. I talked to them about some ways that they could, you know, deal with it. And I was very much involved. Tried to talk to the, financial aid office. I talked to all sorts of individuals. She was still in the school though, but basically what happened is that her GPA was so low that she lost funding. Right? She couldn't even get financial aid, and we looked at all of that. Her GPA had to be a certain mark, a grade point average in order to receive any aid. It was like a 1 point something that she had, but she was very determined and interested to increase her score. But the word the catch 20 um, was that she had to stay in the semester, actually this semester, to increase her score, but she also needed the money in order to stay to increase her score. And so, talking to the financial aid and different things like that, I was like, well, maybe there's monies that she can get from like alumni, because I'm sure the alumni, if they hear her story, they will put money towards her completing the semester. They was like, yeah, there's money from the alumni, but it's tied to a certain GPA. But I was like, well, can there be some leniency for her situation? And I was like, no, it's just like that's what it is. It has to be a certain GPA. So it came to my mind as like, who else is experiencing this? And I could empathize with her because when I was in college, even though I was in the top 10% of my class, magnet student, very well, my first semester when I went to college was a 1.75. Okay. I went from an A student to 1.75 because of the stress. It was different. Like, first of all, I was away from home, um, and the culture is different. It was cold, well, for me. And then, what else? Everything is new. You have to, the way that you are taught to do school in like high school and junior high is different when you go to college. You have to regulate everything, your syllabus. Teachers are not telling you anything. You have to just know all these things and manage yourself. And then you have like all of these distractions available to you. Now you have so much freedom, right? And so you have to manage all of that. And so it's easy for your grade to slip the first semester of college. And so I could relate and empathize with her. And then I buckled up, right? Because I had to keep my scholarship. So I buckled up, and every semester after that, I had either a 3 point something or 4 point something. But it's hard to bring up your GPA once it drops that low to bring it high. But every semester after that, I had really high grades to maintain, more than maintain my scholarship. And so I thought to myself, well, you know what? I haven't done anything with the foundation as yet, with my nonprofit, and so I'm going to look at raising money for that. And I just had a conversation and mentioned it to, just in passing, just in like, just stressing and worrying about how helping this student with what her issues were. I was just talking to everybody, just mentioning it. And in conversation with the manager of Causulas, he was interested in the cause, and I wasn't thinking about having anything at first, and then he came out because we could do a benefit. And so I do appreciate Causulas for hearing the concern and creating something to to support our students. And so, yeah, so that's where the benefit came from, the idea, from my personal experience with a student, with one of our St. Croix. Actually, she's from St. Croix, but she's going to college in St. Thomas, and from one of our students, and she really wants to be in business and just be a contributor to our community. And so that's where the idea come from. So I will be giving more information about like the different ways that you can contribute to that. And again, it's not just for here. And I was thinking, well, I went to college in the States, so I didn't want to just limit it to individuals here in the Virgin Islands, but I wanted to open up to Virgin Island students anywhere. Once you graduated from the Virgin Islands, and you have a situation, and we look at it and look at supporting the issue in some way. And so that's where we will come in. And so again, it's the Make It Happen Foundation, hosted by the event is called Tee Off for Tuition, and it's going to be held August 23rd, and it's going to be a cocktail. And then August 24th, there's going to be the benefit And there's going to be various raffles and giveaways and ways to support. You can go to makeithappenfoundation.org. We are looking for volunteers, and we look forward to being a success so we can help support our students in their higher learning. And I definitely wanted to include those in the trades because we need to increase the trades. And so um, and so like for the plumbing, electrical, carpentry, whatever those trades, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess mechanic, it's a cost still for that. So definitely we want to support that. And so again, appreciate Cost You Less hosting the benefit along with West Indian Company. All right. So we're gonna take a break and we get back. We're gonna talk about, again, supporting what it looks like and just being involved. And that's a lot of times you think that, yeah, government should be doing certain things, and I do agree. But if you look at any area, when I go to it, it's really the individuals of the community that's driving the advancement of the community. All right, individual private sector. Those in the private sector, they are advancing. If you look at St. Thomas, and those of us in Korea say, "Oh, St. Thomas, okay, this," but there's a lot of business people that's driving the development of St. Thomas, and so we need more involvement here in St. Croix in regards to that too, in driving and being a stand. So I know we have a lot of people that call in, and I appreciate everyone's concerns about issues because it just shows that you're very much passionate about the progression of our of our island. However, there's many businesses that would be great. I know they donate, but in regards to like just the upkeep of our island, there's areas like Pueblo, Lorraine, Orange Grove, Pueblo. I don't know if it's not just Pueblo the name, but like Lorraine, that big shopping area that used to have, I forget the name of that store when I was a little girl, but that whole parking lot area needs to improve. And then you talk about Golden Rock, that area for that shopping area needs to improve, but those are owned by individuals. And so it is it's a driving factor for me when I see it, is that individuals that's in the business sector, private sector, are the ones that would push progress as well. Because if you look at Senate's supposed to legislate, right? We put a lot of emphasis on what senators are supposed to do, but it's outside of usually their role. What a senator is supposed to do, they're supposed to legislate, point blank. But they do make a lot of promises, and sometimes because of their positions, they can have a big influence. However, their job is to legislate. Then the executive part of it is for the governor to execute, the administrators to execute those legislations. But it's the businesses, for me, the local, the private sector, which is all of us, is to push these initiatives, right? And so when I look at it, when I'm thinking about what's the difference between St. Thomas and here, how it looks. So what's the difference between when I go to someplace else and how it looks? It is usually the businesses, the individuals saying this is what we want and sticking to it. And if they don't see the government doing it, they start it, and then they get the government back in it. And so I feel like that's some of the things that would do well, especially for St. Croix. For those listening to St. Thomas, I think you guys look beautiful over there. I know you feel like you still need to improve in St. Thomas, but you're doing very well. St. Croix, there's things that we have in our control in regards to the upkeep and maintenance of certain areas of the island, and then taking on certain areas like some of these nonprofit groups or even individuals. I think it was Fiona Stokes. I'm gonna mention it. She don't know I'm gonna mention this. I saw it on Facebook. They adopted an area in Christianstead, going to Five Corners, and they planted like all these things. They were maintaining it. They should put a plaque of who's maintaining that area. I know there's an area, and I think it was a senator that she was working with as well. I can't remember the name, so I'm sorry about that. But I did see her post on Facebook. And then also there's an area by let's see, coming from the Peters Rest garbage facility, coming to the, if you're going towards Gateway, that little planting spot, that's, I forget what the name of, there's a plaque there of a organization that maintains that. They cut the grass, I think, and they plant. And so I do see that in a lot of areas that I travel to. And it'd be great for us to have that even more, taking that on. And so anyway, that's my comments about that. And I mean, I listen to the conversations most of the time on the radio. And my thing about it is always, how can you make it happen? How can we make it happen? As I said all the time in the show, the end of the show is about you, me, we. We have to make it happen. If you don't see something, create it. Be the change. I don't say that just to say it. I say it because I believe it, and that's the only way we're going to improve. Because from a little girl, I've been hearing all the issues, and St. Curtis looks like looking worse. Even though we're expanding in so many areas, St. Thomas to me looks beautiful. I don't know if St. Thomas it calls the radio stations as much as we do, but I do know that not this station, but other over there in St. Thomas. But I do know that they take initiative and they push and they push, and the senators, they push, and so our senators, I would say, need to push. We have a lot more business-minded individuals in the Senate, and so I do look forward to more initiative being pushed in regards to economic development for St. Croix. But we need to, because we have so much space and we don't use it. And so these are the things that I'm thinking that would improve the aesthetics of our island. And then the garbage, I have to, I beat it on the chest. I beat it like a dead dog, or a horse, because we don't beat dogs. They hit horses, right? So what I would say is that, we need to, I lost my train of thought. But anyways, what I was saying is something about economic development. Those are the things that we need to driving factors for St. Croix. The garbage. Those are the things, small things like that. You think is big, and then it will increase to a more improved look of our island. And then getting on those people that owns different properties, that is forefront, that's very public areas. It's important to stay on top of them in regards to maintaining their properties, because that is an eyesore for our island as well. I just mentioned a couple, and there's others, but those are the two. That's the bigger ones. I definitely commend the Plaza Extra right there in Science Farm. They have maintained their areas, resurfacing the paved, the parking lots, and does that area just continues to improve and look good. And we need to make sure that the other bigger shopping, quote unquote, areas that we have had does the same, because that's not going to attract anyone for wanting to do business here. All right. So anyways, let's take a break. When we get back, I have more to say. We'll be closing soon. Time is flying very quickly. And so I'm still learning the board. So let me see. Let me see if I remember this. We'll take a break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back. Listen to I'm Making It Happen on the Reef with Exceptioneers Nykole Tyson. And, if you were with me before the break, I talked about the Department of Health's health screening happening next week on St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. And then I also mentioned the the different things I've seen improved, like the road and highway. The roads and highway, the expansion of the highway, and then also the signs of different places on the island. So learning the names of certain streets, pretty cool. Then I also requested that the area in front of right after Oriental Bank, going towards Strawberry, but in between there is the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So there's a bunch of water bottles that somebody just dropped, a whole lot of them. We do request that somebody takes them up. It's an eyesore. Then I did mention my nonprofit called Make It Happen Foundation, and that we're going to be having a benefit, and more information will be coming out. And it's called the Tee Off for Tuition. It's the first one, and it's going to help those in college as well as with the trades. I did express a story around surrounding it and our interest to support those that want to pursue a trade and or of course college. But this is really because there's so many different grants and things like that, but this is really first started out for an individual that has a really low GPA that could not qualify for financial aid or any type of grant because it was associated with a certain GPA grade point, right? A grade point average, of course. And so this came about because I was like, why isn't there any ways to help her regardless, because she's really passionate to complete her education. So that's where it came up, and I said, okay, expanded from just local to everyone. And so we look forward to the first benefit that Make It Happen Foundation is holding, and it is hosted by Casules and the Westinian Company. Okay. And so, yeah, so we're going to talk about now other things in regards to um, children development. So I'm already on the roll about talking about child development or this initiative, which is very much important in regards to the development. But talking about now how our parents, as children are out from school, continue to help develop them as individuals that are healthy. I want to mention the sponsors. Sponsor for the TL for tuition is sponsored by Casulas West Indies Company, Bellows International, Captain Morgan, High Noon, NT Media, and the I'm Making It Happen show. All right. So coming towards talking about, let's see, talking about students and supporting their development. There's so much that goes into it, and I always talk about this in different ways, and I don't think that it's ever talked about too much. I think it's always a good reminder. And so these are areas of mental health and wellness for the foundation of student development and growth. And so summer isn't just about what students learn. It's about how they feel. And academic achievement means little if a student is running on empty emotionally. And that's a big factor that needs to be reminded or remembered when dealing with youth, with children. I mean, we talk about it for adults, but most importantly for children, because they don't have the power to usually to express themselves, and unless the parents are have that. My mom, Bern Arthurton, was very much about that when I was a little girl. Um, regards to my self expression, and so and it develops individuals, their confidence, children's confidence and whatnot. And so that's why it's important to support your mental health and wellness for your children. And so summer is shouldn't just be like, oh, it's a playtime, but it's also something about development. I think every day is about development, but these are things that we can implement. And it doesn't just have to be as parents, but as individuals that might have an interaction with children. Those are teachers, those who are maybe camp counselors, who's running camps, all kind of things. Just those who might just come across a student is giving them permission to pause. We all have a part to do, a play in the development of a child. I've mentioned how I changed from going into the field of computer science to going to communications, media communications. And so that one person had played a role in my whole career. And so that was just one person just saying, hey, are you interested? And so you never know what impact you can have about with a child and the trajectory of your life, especially even the call that we had last week. The gentleman mentioned that some of the students that he might have had, they were exposed to the fire department, I think he said, and then they ended up going into the the fire department as a career. So it is something that's important that we all take that on as role. I do want to say that I said my mom burned Arthurton Tyson, but also my dad, Nykole Tyson. All right, this is part of me having a self-expression. And so let's see. So yeah, so the school year can be a marathon of pressure, grades, expectations, and social dynamics, but summer can be a time for our children to breathe, encouraging students to slow down, gives their minds the same recovery time that we give our tired muscles. And rest is always productive, as I always mention. So, and I have used this analogy before as like, our brains being like software, we need to like always update it. This article I'm looking at also mentions that is think of rest as software update for the soul. And usually when my phone updates, it updates at night. Okay, sometimes I don't want it to update, but it automatically updates when the phone is like charging and not doing anything. And so that's the same thing that we need to do for ourselves and our children. We need to promote healthy routines, sleep, movement, especially here in the Caribbean. We have the sunlight, good nutrition, and they seem unglamorous, but they're very powerful. And they're the stepping stones of foundations for mental wellness and child development. And so it's a great time since children are out of school to help them reset and get locked in with healthy habits. establishing rhythms. So separate to getting up every morning and going to school and studying and all those kind of things, helping them create a routine for themselves is very important and will help with the development as they get older and have to function in various capacities in the world. Okay. And so creating tech-free zones, tech-free hours. When I was growing up, we were able to run around. I mean, we had the Game Boys, the PlayStations, all of that kind of stuff, but we also were encouraged to be outside a lot. And so I hear a lot of parents sometimes saying the children are too much inside. So making sure you making it a priority that they are involved in extracurricular activities outdoors. So all right. And then so fostering conversations, open conversations, allowing your children to feel free to have a conversation, letting them open up and share themselves is very important for the communication aspect. And also expression of their emotions, understanding their emotions. So giving them that outlet that they're able to communicate that. It's very important. And then encouraging connection and not comparison. With the whole social media aspect with comparisons, it's just easy just to compare yourself all the time. It's even more so for children. So giving them that break, especially from if they have a phone, possibly not even letting them have access to social media. Because I have had conversation with some college students even that was very stressed out, and they were just comparing themselves with what they're seeing online and the success of individuals, what looks like success to them. Um, they were really stressed out. I spoke to a class one time, and I felt very honored that they felt comfortable enough to share themselves in that way. But it was a couple students that was very emotional about how to achieve success because of what they see online, millionaires, young millionaires, and all kind of stuff. And I had to talk about my throat keeps you keep hearing me like I'm coughing. My throat keeps like tickling. So it's very so yeah, I talked to them about that. But if you have college students feeling like that, imagine this our youngsters, how they're feeling if they're exposed to social media. So giving them more free time from social media, from the scrolling is very important, because they can have unexpressed anxiety and insecurity develop from what they see online, reminding them that everyone's journey looks different. Can be and encouraging them to spend time in real life relationships and conversations, not like looking at people's highlights online, right? Because usually people don't put up their bad highlights, so just put up the good ones, right? And so that's what we had to express to the college students. So definitely, even more so for our the younger ones. Likes don't equal love. This comment says here online is likes don't equal love, and a filtered highlight reel is never the full story, right? And so teaching kids to cope with skills and self-regulation. And as a parent, if you wasn't exposed to this as a young person, then it is your duty to look it up for yourself to be able to provide that to your children. There's so much information online, and so yeah, so we all have different backgrounds, but we can learn and incorporate different things that'll be good for the children that we're raising. And so teaching them deep breathing exercises, how to manage their emotions, positive self-talk, setting healthy boundaries, knowing when and how to ask for help, knowing that it's not a weakness to ask for help, it's actually a strength to ask for help. Because it's not weak to ask, it is helping you to ask for help, is helping you stay strong. And so that's very important. Okay. And so we're going to take another break. And when we get back, we will be closing out. And so let's see. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back. You're listening to I'm Making It Happen with Nykole Tyson. We're about to close out, and do appreciate you for being with us today. We were talking about various things. And so the first thing was about the Department of health screening. Find out more on their Facebook page. Free next week. It's going to be happening next week on St. Croix, then St. Thomas, St. John. And then also talked about The road expansion on the highway, happy to see that. Just asking for some reflectors on the road as well. I'm happy to see the striping there. Would like added some reflectors if possible. Then also the signs for different areas of what the names of the streets are. Exciting to see. The request was for the garbage, all these water bottles there across from right outside the fence of the Seventh Day Adventists, passing the Oriental Bank, going towards Strawberry. Anyone could pick that up. It's an eyesore. Please pick them up. And I guess you have to dump that water, right? But I guess you could take them. I don't know. Let me not say that. But do whatever with the water bottles. But please do get them up. And then I did mention the non-profit Make It Happen Foundation. We're going to be having an event. We look forward to the community being involved in that. We're going to have a cocktail on August 23rd at Carambola's Golf Course as well, and then a benefit on August 24th. All right, and it's hosted by Cost You Less. And we'll be giving more information about how to contribute and register for the golf benefit. And it's not you don't have to be a golf pro. You can come and get lessons. We're going to be giving more information about that, but it's just to have fun and to support a good cause in supporting our children with their higher learning. And so it's sponsored by Cashless, West Indies Company, Bellows International, Captain Morgan, High Noon, NT Media, and I'm Making It Happen show. For starters, we are looking for more sponsors. So stay tuned for more information. You could go to makeithappenfoundation.org. And so I do appreciate you for being with me today. I'm Making It Happen with Exceptional Years Nykole Tyson. We'll be back again on next week, and we will have a guest with us next week. What's this next week? Next week is June, right? We're already in June 4th. And so we will have a guest next week talking about some very important initiatives, all right, for the territory. So make sure you tune in next week on I'm Making It Happen from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on next week, Wednesday. So I do appreciate you for being with me. Definitely want to remind you of Quality Auto Parts. They are open 7 days a week, and they're located near Sunny Isles, and it's all in their name, quality. They have all your quality auto part needs, as well as Carlos Furniture, open 7 days a week, and they also have all your bedding, living room, dining room, kitchen, and more, as well as decorative items located in Tutu Park Mall, St. Thomas, and Peters Rest, St. Croix. So we'll see you next week, per usual. And as I always say, we'll connect again on next week, Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Have an amazing rest of the day and the week. If you don't see something happening, create it. Be the change. And until next time, keep thinking outside the box, coloring outside the lines. And remember, it's about you, me, we. So make it happen.